I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 101st episode of the Parenting Autism podcast. Sandy, we've been behind these mics for 101 times.
Yes, we have.
Have we learned anything?
Yes, we have.
I don't know.
I'm sure we have.
Yeah, but anyway, hey, we're here for you, our audience. And listen, we hope that this podcast helps you with us being on our journey. Maybe that you found some similarities where you are on your journey. And we just hope that our experience helps you and gives you some encouragement. And it also helps us to talk things out that have happened in the past week or two when we do these podcasts, because sometimes everything doesn't come up during our normal day-to-day conversations.
That's
and then
true.
When we sit down for the podcast, we get some more details or revelations about whatever it is.
And it's a good emotional download, and it's good for us to sit and chat, to carve out the time.
Yep.
And we've actually been doing much better because this is like the third time in just maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think we're almost on the weekly roll. But we wanted to get this episode in today because we are getting ready to leave for a couple weeks to go spend time with the Coulter family. Yay. So Chris's brothers are arriving this weekend with their wives, and we're all excited about that.
And you may hear an airplane in the background, and it's not really flying around our house. Bryce is on the flight simulator, so he's renewed his interest since our most recent adventures.
Yeah, at the air show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that has been out. So I'm titling this podcast episode Reviews, I believe. So the reason why is that we don't have guests very often. I know we had my mom last week for the 100th episode, and we've only had 2 other guests, our niece and a friend that's here locally. But we do get a lot of inquiries for people to come onto our show, and most of them, I would say, are authors. Some other people will reach out to us because they want to collaborate on something or work together. We had recently one that kind of piqued my interest, and it was Curated Family Therapeutics, and they work with families more like, I know they're psychologists and they're trained in a lot of different ways, so I don't want to say it all wrong, but they're great for like counseling and helping you work through your emotions and your feelings and really focusing on us
and goals, right?
And goals,
Yeah.
and making sure that we're aligned together. And that is kind of speaking my language, because it's true that we focus a lot on Bryce, but sometimes we can lose ourselves in that shuffle.
And that's where they come in.
That's where they were coming in to help. And actually, he offered to do one free session with us. I think they call it a workshop. And so we did a workshop via Zoom, and it was really great. So I want to go over that, and then we're going to do some book reviews.
Okay, cool.
So that would kind of be, and then I'm going to just recap real quick the week. Sorry, I hit my microphone thing. Recap the highlights of the week, because we did have a couple of things that happen, as we always do. And then we're going to actually go to the books, and then we'll go to the workshop that we did.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we're going to bring Bryce in to kind of recap the whole thing.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So we went to church last Saturday on Easter, which we were mentioning because that's when we recorded last Saturday. And I just want to say that we had the right plan, because we planned to go when it was a lighter crowd, and it did make a big difference for Bryce with less stress and stuff like that, which was great. And it was great service, and we just had a really nice family weekend. And then Monday, we went to the Super Mario movie with my brother and our nephew, and Bryce did really great with that, and he really enjoyed that. So that was a fun highlight. And what I really wanted to bring up that came up this week that I don't want to forget for later is that we went to the audiologist down in Boca. And reason why we went to him is that he specializes in what's it called? Hyperacucis?
Oh, yeah, hyperacucis.
And so we really were taking Bryce there to find out why he's becoming so extra sensitive to sounds. And so he did some testing on him. And while he does have some form of it, he doesn't have it enough that he would be diagnosed with it. And he does not require any type of treatment for it. However, he is letting us know that it's not so much physical something that's going on in there. It seems to be emotional reasons that Bryce is reacting so strongly to the sounds.
Yeah, just to recap, he has this big aversion to certain sounds like clapping, referee whistles, buzzers during games,
balloons popping,
babies crying. There's probably, a dozen or so noises that really get him wound up. And we thought, well, it could be his hearing. Maybe he's sensitive to certain frequencies. But this...
I was going to say, and that's because he's telling us that he feels like his ears are going to break.
Right. It's painful.
Yeah,
that's what he was
that's
telling
what he's
us.
trying to tell us. So, yeah.
And so we had his hearing tested. Oh, here he comes.
Excuse me, I want you to please record me doing tricks in the diamond aircraft with two-prop airplane.
Okay, I will as soon as we're done, but you have to close my door, please. Can you close my door?
I'm going to land.
Okay. So he
cute.
wants me to
Record
videotape him on his flight simulator. So we had his hearing test done, and it came back that he hears exactly what we hear. Basically, his threshold for loud sounds is the same as ours, and so that led us to, okay, his ears are okay. It's the emotional connection to those sounds. So we can really trace back to a lot of those sounds when they originally happened and frightened Bryce, and he had his original meltdown, which I thought was interesting.
I thought so too. And this dates back 2 and 3 years for some of these sounds.
Yeah.
So while we were in there with him, he asked Bryce some of the sounds that, bothered him. And first one, Bryce says, a baby's crying. And then the doctor's like, well, who does like that? I mean, other than the parents. It's
Right.
kind of funny. And then he's like, I'm like, well, tell him some of the other sounds. And, we wanted Bryce to speak, and then we were filling in some of the blanks. And then it came up about, the unexpected loud sounds, which was good. The air pillow came up, and the air pillow is like what you use for packing boxes when you're shipping something. And so, because I had mentioned the bubble wrap, and then I don't even think I said air pillow. I believe Bryce brought it up, but it brought him to tears. And then
while he was talking about it,
he mentioned the air pillow, and then he was talking about how you stepped on one 2 years ago and how that still made him sad. And then we brought it up. We brought it up again, I think, because we were telling his ABA team when they were here. Because we're like, this is behavior now.
Well,
this isn't
back
psychological.
up a second,
yeah.
Because when we were in the doctor's office, he got so upset about it. He said, I want to pop one right now.
Oh, yeah, I got angry.
He says, I want to get angry again. And
hurt myself.
Yeah.
By popping it again.
So it's a lot of things that don't make sense. It could be related to his stroke, or it's just an emotional thing, and that he's got to work through. And this psychologist that we're seeing now hopefully can help us walk through that. And the doctor said that he's very into studies and research, and so he works with kids on the spectrum all the time, and he has a lot of articles that are published in a well-known medical journal called PubMed. And so one of his studies was what percentage of children have hyperacusis, which is that sensitivity to certain sounds. And he said that his study found that 40% of kids on the spectrum have that, or would have that diagnosis if they were brought in. And he said that a lot of parents, a lot of families miss that window early on, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, the golden time.
The golden time when you're in your right after toddler, 2 to 5 or whatever, 2 to 7 years
and
old.
even at this age, he's saying they don't come in till they're older.
Yeah,
and
because
then they're
they don't
struggling
realize,
with it. They don't know what the problem is.
And that's one thing about autism is there's so many contributing factors to behaviors, and so you really it's like finding a needle in a haystack, some of these diagnoses, and
It's true.
they're finding new things all the time about autism, and this is one new thing that we discovered that a lot of kids have, but fortunately Bryce is not in that category, and we can work on him through ABA with his emotions that are attached to those events.
Yes, and it just was confirmation for us that we're on the right path with the psychologist and that it's the right time. Because what I was going to say was, when we were telling his ABA team, he even went to the extent of telling us that he remembered when you stepped on it, that he went to the calendar on the refrigerator and drew sad faces.
Yeah.
Like, that's how impressionable it was on him then, and it just comes right back to him, like with that kind of full detail.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I don't.
It was really
surprising,
surprising, like what he can store in there, and that a trigger will bring it back. And then the doctor also explained to us that that is what happens, and then it'll get him on that loop, and then it's hard for him to get off that loop.
Right,
But these little triggers can bring him back, like things that happened years ago, that it will be an emotional thing, an emotion that gets open, like reopening a wound, kind of, sort of. And then we did want to just say, like, because we were thinking, oh, this is good information for our listeners as well, because he was saying the little girl that he had in right before Bryce, their family actually came to see him in Florida from South Carolina, because they took her to Duke University, and Duke wouldn't even help her there, and they're a teaching school. But she was having difficulty with her dad's chewing sound, and they were just really working with her to retrain the brain. And he said people come to him from all over the world. So
yeah,
we
and
should
there
say
is
his
therapy
name.
for that.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Ali Dinesh.
Yeah.
And it's spelled like Danish, Danish. And I can put a link in the show notes as well for him.
Boca Raton,
yeah,
Florida.
He's in South Florida at Boca Raton. So anyway, so that was really good.
I want you to record me doing tricks in the old airplane.
I will when we're done the podcast, okay, buddy?
I want you to please.
You got to do some patience, okay?
Okay, I'm going to have you answer some
Okay.
questions.
Thanks, buddy. All right, so that's our weekend review. Now we're going to review some books and then go into our other conversation. So we have 5 books that have been sent to us recently that we've been reading. And I think I took 4 of them on, and you took 1 of them on.
You're amazing.
It's okay, thanks. But, it's good. And so the first book that we've got here is called Warrior Mom. And it's a mother's journey in healing her son with autism by Tracy. I don't want to butcher her name, so I apologize, Tracy. Slepcevic.
Just spell it.
Slepcevic.
There you go.
So Tracy's, this book has a lot of information. She's kind of got it into 3 parts. And so the first part shares her journey with her son, Noah. And he's now, I think she said that he's an adult now, or a young adult. And she talks about their story and has a lot of holistic approaches, like what we've done with Bryce. And she gives a lot of reference to Taka in here.
Oh,
so I can
good.
tell that she's really involved with Taka, which we like too.
Yeah.
And then in the second part, she gives a lot of resources and even like some books that you can read and things that you can try and a website you can visit. I'm kind of flip through here to get an idea. But the part 2 is called Where to Begin If You Think Your Child Could Have Autism. And I think a lot of us have that question when our children are diagnosed, that we have, what do we do? It's kind of like you don't have the roadmap and we're wondering what to do. And so that is, a lot of good information there. Just as I was kind of going back through it today, it's funny because I had my bookmark in the middle of the book and I was reading through it and the word generalization popped off the page at me. And it's interesting because I just heard that word used Thursday when Miss Diana and Miss Paige were here for Bryce's ABA team. And we were talking about how he can do things here and he knows what to do when he's here, but like say greeting somebody at a door or, entrance and exits and all that kind of stuff. But when we're not here and we're someplace else, he doesn't really know what to do. And they nodded and said, "Oh, generalization." And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that meant, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm reading it today, so I'm just going to share it because it's like these kind of things that these books can help you with, that you come upon. So generalization, she put, people with autism often have difficulty generalizing information or adapting skills developed at home or school to a new or different environment. This is because they think in a direct or literal way. And for example, your child may understand that they shouldn't ring the doorbell at home, but he or she may react differently when they visit grandma. To improve safety capabilities, continuous practice is required in real world situations in a variety of settings. And that's kind of where we're at with Bryce, even with his ABA and stuff. Is we're just trying to figure out how to help him adapt to unfamiliar situations or locations and things like that, because he's in a small bubble. And I understand now that generalization concept is if he's going to be out and with the rest of the world, it can't just be like he's got to figure out how to do the things he learns at home to do them in other places. So anyway, I just thought, well, that's just a perfect example of why these books can be helpful. They give a lot of definitions or a lot of application to things that honestly, I could have read this book when Bryce was younger, and I don't know how much I would have gotten out of it. I'm sure I would have gotten things like, oh, wow, okay, here's a lot of good resources to help us get on this journey. And now, we're 7 years into this, and I'm still learning things because as Bryce grows and as his needs change and as his progress increases, different things get our attention that we need to learn or that we need to help him with. So the last part of her book is called Healing Autism. And that's where she goes into a lot more of how to treat certain symptoms if you have them and bio stuff and things like that. And, having like the homomedical interventions. So you've heard us talk on our podcast about the things that we're trying with Bryce. We're going to be getting the hyperbaric chamber in May when we get back from this little adventure that we're doing with the family. And, there's a lot of things in the book that she's got here that we have tried, that we're going to be trying. And, I'm sure there could be families that could find useful things for them in this book. So thank you, Tracy, for sending that to us. And we really appreciate it. And, we admire all that you've done and all the work that you and your husband have done to help your son, Noah. It's wonderful.
Yes.
So the next book that I read was called Reversed, and it's a memoir, and this is by Lois Letchford. So this book reads more, man, she's an amazing author, I'll say that. She writes in a way that it's a true story, but she's got the gift of details. Like I could picture everything that was happening, like to the birds chirping in the trees and what everything looks like. So she's an amazing author in that way. And it would be like as if I was reading a novel, but it's real life and it's her family and her story. And it was very interesting. And so she has 3 boys, and it was her middle son that they had that she had to work with, and his name is Nicholas. And so I don't think in this book that she ever used the word autism. But if you read the book, there's no doubt that there's a lot of similarities to what we experienced with Bryce with his autism. But I found her story very interesting. I shouldn't say story, her life. Very interesting also because she traveled a lot. Her husband was a professor. So, they started in Australia. And so she had struggles like with schools and with teachers. And so did Tracy with her son as well. I'm seeing a theme with troubles in schools, which I'm so glad that we homeschool Bryce because we avoid a lot
have
drama with that,
eliminated a lot
for
of
sure.
potential problems.
But so Lois had those issues with her son and with school and, you know, certain teachers and stuff. And then she found some heroes as well. But they were in Australia, and then they had to move to the UK, and then they ended up in the United States. So I can't even imagine like picking up and moving internationally and then having to kind of start all over again and again, right? With your whole support team, and then in a different country, how things are done differently. But they did it, and he's a young adult now, and he has overcome many, many things. And so she just shares their beautiful story and how she even took him out of school to work with him directly one-on-one, because she realized he thinks and processes in a different way. And it was different than what the teachers were expecting. And so she had to know what she could see would help him learn. And she really worked hard with him, especially with reading. Oh my goodness, they went through a lot, but they overcame a lot of obstacles and reversed a lot of the things that were problems into progression. And so thank you, Lois, for sending that book. And it was a really good read. All right, I'm going to kick to you for number 3.
Okay. So my book was called The Genius of Home: Teaching Your Children at Home with the Waldorf Curriculum by Catherine Reed, PhD. So I thought this would be a good read for, since we're homeschooling, and it talks about a specific type of homeschool. And it starts, it says the Waldorf curriculum. So I'm just going to read a short passage from the introduction about where it comes from. She says that the Waldorf curriculum was originated by Rudolf Steiner in answer to the question of how school could be provided for all students at that time, specifically for children of workers in Emil Molt's Waldorf Astoria cigarette factory. The school begun for that purpose was in Stuttgart, Germany, and continues today. In these times, especially in the United States, many families realize that for various reasons their children will thrive better through an education at home than in an institution. Some see the strength of the Waldorf curriculum and its deep understanding of the human being and of the child development in the context of body, life, soul, and spirit. When a parent is his or her own child's teacher, one individual fulfills 2 roles in a child's life. It can be done, she says. So when I was reading through this book, it talks about the curriculum, and she raised 2 girls, and so she homeschooled them using this curriculum all the way through 11th grade, I believe, and then in 12th grade they went back to an institution for their final grade in high school. And this book is, if you're interested in that type of curriculum, or if you know about the Waldorf curriculum, this is a very good reference for that curriculum. She explains in detail their journey in each grade and the seasons that they go through and their homeschool setup. And I found it to be very different from what I'm doing with Bryce. So she was very methodical about her homeschooling, and it seemed rigid as compared to our homeschool. So like if you really want a lot of structure and, you know, this is how your day is going to go. And I think the only thing that she was lenient on was the sleep part. So she would start their day when the kids got up on their own. But once the day started, you know, they would have breakfast, and then the girls would go get dressed, and she would ring a bell and they would come to the door and say, "We're ready for school, teacher." And, very...
So she was trying to kind of have like a structure, like a school setting. Because at a regular school, you ring the bell and that means, okay,
Yep. And
time
so
to go get to your classroom.
She had school desks, which we do. We have a school desk. And it was a very school setting, I would say. She hand built a blackboard, which doubled as like a play background, like if they were doing skits or something. But it seems strict to me, and I was thinking that there would be some nuggets for Bryce, but she didn't have special needs children, so it was hard for me to relate to that, because when you have special needs and you're homeschooling, you have to be flexible, and I don't think that this was quite as flexible as ours.
Yeah, and every child is different. Just like what we talked about.
Every child is different.
So
every family is different. And so it was very interesting. It was an interesting read for me, and I'm like, wow, okay, so we're not on that path at all. We're between that and just, there's a thing called unschooling, and there's this type of curriculum. So we're kind of in the middle there.
Yeah.
We have a curriculum. We're going through it, but we can take breaks. We take a lot of breaks, and we do other things. Like yesterday we went to the library and we had to do some shopping, and so we took a break from school for a little bit. But when we got home, we did school.
Yeah.
So it's we're less structured, and it seems to work.
It does. I mean, speaking of that, like Monday, I know you guys had a little bit of an impasse at school. Mm-hmm. And so there were a lot of emotions flying high for both of you. And you sent me a note and you said, I think it's happened maybe 3 times since kindergarten, you know, and he's in 3rd grade, almost finishing it. Mm-hmm. And it was rough, but some of that rooted to where he was having a hard time focusing. You were wanting him to focus more. We'll say it that way. The patience maybe had expired for a different reason, but Bryce needs the breaks. And then when you gave him more breaks, then the rest of the week flowed much better. And and he needs that. He just really does.
Yeah. And it was, I felt like we needed to get more work done than we were getting done. Right. And Bryce just wasn't in a position to get more work done.
That's it.
And I didn't step back from that. I didn't look at the whole picture. I should have taken a break to reevaluate what was going on. And that was, it was a daddy fail. But we regrouped, we had a long talk, and we both apologized to each other and forgave each other.
And he told on you at therapy.
Oh, yeah, and he told on me at therapy. He's always telling on me. So, yeah.
But, yes. But, that's just saying that for that books, some children do require structure. And if you're going to do it at home, they would need that structure. Mm-hmm. I think in Bryce's situation, that's part of the reason, and a lot of the reason we don't even have him in a regular school setting is because he would not receive the breaks that he needs. Right.
I mean, we just can't say we're going to do school for 45 minutes. We're going to do math for 30 minutes, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to do social studies.
Too much structure would be bad for him.
It was just, we have to take a break when he is feeling that.
Yep.
And that works.
Yep.
That works. And it's short breaks. It's 5-10 minutes.
Exactly.
15 minutes sometimes.
Yep.
But it just gives him a way to regroup his thoughts and refocus. And so that's
it's
good.
Working.
Yeah, it's working.
He finished ecology this week, so he's halfway done with 3rd grade.
Yes, he is. We're
still in April,
of it all.
so it's great.
Yeah. So thank you to Catherine Reed for sending that to us, and I think it'll help some people out there that have more structured and are familiar with the Waldorf curriculum. That's a really specific curriculum, and she has pulled from a lot of different resources the details about that curriculum, and she shares a lot of details about what she did in each grade and how her girls were, and so it was really thorough, I would say. Is the good word for it. Yep.
Excellent.
So.
All right, so the fourth one, well, that's a good segue. You want to talk about thorough. This one is called Naturally Recovering Autism by Karen Thomas. And it's a complete step-by-step resource handbook for parents. Includes prevention information on autism, ADD, allergies, and more. This book, it's a thick one, but it's got lots of information. It's like over 500 pages. So I'm telling you, it's a lot. But it's like an encyclopedia that has all this biomedical information that can be very helpful. And so you can kind of be like, if I'm looking for this area with my child, or this, is going on.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. So I think it's nice to have this one on hand to be able to pull from the shelf as things, continue to arise with Bryce. So the first section is like where to find help. And so she discusses like a muscle test response, alternative therapies and practitioners, sensory processing disorders, which we definitely deal with that, and then just genetic susceptibility, because sometimes, it's definitely in the genes and you want to get that information. So she kind of, lets you know those steps as to how you can find information and get that help. And then she gives a lot of the what and the why basics. And I think that's, where we'll look into different things. And she talks about gluten and casein. She talks about allergies and the gut-brain connection, heavy metals. That's not the bands, but that's like metals in your in your bodies. A short lesson in the brain. And then the third section she has is 4 steps to wellness. And so then she starts, if you have this problem, then here are some ways that, you can find healing and or ways to help.
I just want to say, I just got reminded that when we saw that doctor about the hearing, he mentioned that a lot of kids aren't picked up at an early age. So their pediatrician or whatever doctor they're seeing on a regular basis, is not picking up on these types of things, and therefore
they're missing the signs.
They're missing the signs, right? So, and then you reading about this, telling us about this book, just reminds me of how important it is when your child is young to get started early on these types of things. And it's missed so much. Things are just missed. And what you think is just, that's because he has autism or she has autism.
Right.
A lot of times there's an underlying cause to that behavior or that symptom, and there is a lot of information out there, and it's just good to start.
Well, it is, but I also want to just say that, I'm listening you say that, and it's true. The younger you can start and the earlier you get your answers, obviously, the sooner you can start any type of treatment, but it's never too late.
It's never too late. You can still...
I think even if you're an adult and you've got issues going on and you've always kind of had this problem or that problem, and you're like, man, that sounds like me. Go get your blood work done, but not just the blood work that your doctor orders. This is where you get into knowing what you need to ask for. Have your vitamin deficiencies tested. Have, those kind of things can make a world of difference.
And if you're, I've read over and over again, my doctor won't do that test or whatever.
Right.
You need to find a doctor that's on board with you. You're the one paying. It's your child.
Yourself.
Or yourself, and you need to get to the bottom of things. And you don't take no for an answer. Don't let the insurance companies control your doctor.
It's true. It's really true. So we have found so many more answers for Bryce by having his stools tested, by having blood work tested that we would have never thought to have tested. But our doctors, the autism doctors that specialize in this, they know what to look for. And then we get a baseline, and then, we're just discovering more and more things. I mean, we've learned more in the past 6 to 12 months about Bryce that we had no idea about before, between things with the blood work and then with his vision and his hearing and all of these things. And it's great. And again, we're 7 years into this and we're still learning. And we're learning why things are happening. And it's not just a blanket, in quotes, he has autism.
And it's a progression too, because now he has more language, so he can tell us more things.
Yes.
And now we're like, oh, okay, well, he's having trouble with comprehension now, whereas before we didn't really know that. And now it was obvious. And okay, well, maybe it's his vision or his hearing, And so you get those things tested thoroughly.
That's the key.
Don't go to your local optometrist. You want to go to a teaching school where they talk about autism, where they have specialists with autism. And that's what we're finding. We're getting more answers when we get to the specialists.
It is. I mean, like, we learned that with Bryce, that he has the auditory processing disorder, which we knew he had struggles, but we didn't understand the why behind it, really, other than, is it the stroke? Is it autism? What is it? But he still is struggling. Like, I'm just going to give this quick example, but it's the WH questions. People should know the basics. And I know they work on that a lot with him at therapy. And they were telling me that he's still getting some wrong. And Miss Crystal had even told me he's struggling with the who's. And he's like looking at pictures of like who helps people, if he's looking at a police officer or something like that. And last night we were over at my brother's, Randy and Carla's, and we were leaving. And so we were saying, oh, we're going to the condo tomorrow. Who are you going to see? And he's like, oh, I'll see the sand. And we're like, no. What are you going to see? Who are you going to see? And he's like, oh, I'm going to see the beach. And we're like, no, that's what you're going to see. Who are you going to see? And I think we almost had to say, what person are you going to see?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, wow, there's a really live example that I saw that he just can't connect those who's and the what's and gets them kind of mixed up in his mind. So it's hard to have a conversation with somebody if you don't have those basics.
Yeah. So when we're homeschooling and we're doing a review or we're answering questions, there might be a word in the question that he's never heard before.
Right.
Or doesn't understand. So I will rephrase the question.
Your iPad.
I will rephrase the question probably 2, maybe sometimes even 3 times, so that he can understand it. And you can see the light bulb go on when I rephrase it. And he's like, oh, and the answer comes out quickly.
Yep.
Whereas when we first read the question, he's just kind of in his own land, like, what? And then, but you see the light come on and it's great. So, hi, Bryce.
Hi, I'm helping you.
Are you ready to answer some questions?
You want to take a break from reviews and bring him in now?
Yeah. Or he's here, but...
yeah. I don't know what he's doing.
Bryce, what
I don't think he's ready.
Come on. Thanks for helping me. Bryce is getting me into Airport City. It's a game. It's my first ever game. So he likes that I play with him. What's my surprise? What? What'd you do? You upgraded my runway?
Wow, that was really nice of you.
Wow, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Now I can land bigger planes.
Okay, we're going to bring you back in a little bit.
Okay. He just spent 20,000 of my coins.
It's better to spend your coins than his.
Oh, no. So anyway.
I'm going to get Bryce out because he's playing his game.
Oh, he's still in here?
Yeah, he just came back. Bryce, can you go out, buddy, and close the door?
Thanks, buddy.
And then we're going to bring you back in.
A couple more feet to upgrade for you.
Oh, well, not right now, okay? I don't want to use all my coins.
No, you don't. I thought you had enough money to upgrade your hangar to level 2.
Okay, well...
Hey, buddy. I'll get it.
He's so excited. It takes, I'm learning that it takes a very long time to get coins.
But very easy to spend. It's like real life, man.
So if he was a typical kid, I would have said, Bryce, why did you just spend all my coins? But you
Now
saw
you're
I
like,
had to go, thank you.
Because he was doing it to be nice.
He was. He really was.
He truly
yes,
was.
He didn't know anything.
Nope. He's excited that he helped you.
Yes, and that's what's important.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty
that
funny.
Was cute.
Okay, so the last book to review here is called... Oh, did I give an official thank you? It's because we got interrupted. So thank you, Karen, for sending in your book. Honestly, Chris and I will keep this on our bookshelf, and I know it's going to be just a great resource for us to keep on hand. It's awesome.
For sure.
Building Puzzles Underwater, an autism story by Carrie Holzer. All right, so this book, I had to tell you, it's got the cutest cover, but she will tell you in the beginning that her choice of words, she uses some colorful language. And I will have to say that she uses language that I don't use, and I can't give it a PG-13 rating because she has more than one F-bomb, and I think that's what they go by. But her story is interesting, and I really wanted to finish it. And it's a good, easy read, and I like that too. And she shares her story about her son. And so I'm sure there's listeners that, if you're okay with the language, then you're going to be okay. But for those who aren't, I really feel like I have to put that, they put the label on for the lyric, you know what I'm talking about, on music. Yeah, I kind of have to put that on the book. But I love her heart, and I love how she shared her story with her son, Cam, who is now a teenager and doing well. And they went through a lot. And it's just one of those journeys that, man, I can relate to so much, of it. And her getting her ABA team. I will say that in her book, I was surprised as to how many free resources that she had. Like even ABA was provided through their state. And I was like, which state is she in? And then I believe it was New Jersey.
Oh.
So, I mean, they provided speech in the home, OT in the home, the ABA in the home. She had a great team. And it made me a little sad because I just remember I'm finishing up my book, sharing our story. And one of the saddest things for me was Bryce having to go into speech and OT when he was 2 without me there. And she got to have that hard in her home where she could be there.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, it made me tear up a little bit, like I missed that. And I'm happy for her that she was able to be there and be a part of that, because that's one thing that I do wish could have been a little different on our journey, but it wasn't.
I wish there was a website or resource that would tell you, compare states in the United States of what resources are available for kids on the spectrum. And I think it would be so helpful for people that have to move or are looking to move to another state, before going there, what's it going to be like? What's covered, what's not covered, and
I know
what the state provides.
Yeah,
so
it does make a difference, like where you live and what the resources are and all of those things. I thought she made me laugh out loud several times, which was good, because it's true on this journey. You have to find the humor in it sometimes. I mean, if you don't, you're going to lose your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And you and I sometimes will laugh at things like, we probably shouldn't be laughing at this, but what's the alternative? We're going to cry about it? No. So you want to have the humor, but you also know that there's some real tears there, and you just kind of have to buckle up and get through this and do the best for your child and help them through it. And she had struggles in the school system as well. So again, common theme that I'm seeing as I'm reading people sharing their journeys. For me personally, I'm a biography lover. I love to read biographies. My favorite is to read autobiographies where it's actually written by the person and not somebody writing about someone else. So I'm really drawn to those kind of books, and it helps me. Like the more I can understand people, it's just good for my brain. I have found that it helps me have better relationships with people. It was really good. All right, there's a fly in our house. So we're going to take a break while we recover from the fly that has scared Bryce.
I think we're okay.
You think we're
can keep
good?
going. So,
I have to just to be able to think. But
Okay.
let me just say thank you to Carrie for building puzzles underwater. I really did enjoy your story about you and camp.
yeah, I do like that cover. Too.
So
That's
it is a
fun
cute
one.
cover,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
So
I can't with
can't-
him.
you can't with
no, I
him?
cannot.
okay, Bryce.
That's airport static.
I can't go out because there's a fly in here.
Okay,
It
good.
gave me
So
an ouchie.
pause that.
Flies don't give ouchies.
No.
But
and
there
then
was so many bugs around me.
there was.
So many bugs.
Were
How
they
many
flying
bugs were
around you? Were they attacking?
Yes.
in
Oh
our
my good-
house?
Oh my goodness. We better get the bug getters
How
out
many
there.
bugs?
There's like 1,000.
Are you telling the truth?
Nah, I don't know.
All right.
It just gave me pain.
The fly gave you pain?
All right. Well, no.
No.
Sit down. Sit down in mommy's chair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right,
Can
so-
you please go?
It's your turn to answer some questions, and then you're going to go back out. Here's the plan.
What?
You're going to answer
Right.
some questions for Daddy. Then we're going to finish because we have one more thing to talk about on the podcast before we wrap up. And then we're going to finish packing to go to the condo. Now, you can go in your room and close the door,
And then I'll record you
and
on
then
the
you won't
flight
have to
simulator.
worry about the fly.
Okay.
Sound like a plan? You okay with that?
Where's Bryce?
He's thinking about it.
I want to do it.
You ready?
Do what?
Yeah, for the questions.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
let's do it.
Here
You
we
just
go.
need to make sure he was on board.
All right. Let's start with the easy one. What is your favorite song right now?
That is. You always started out with a hard one. You tried to trick me.
Oh, you want me to do a different one?
Yes.
Okay. If you were daddy for a day, what would you do?
I would do school with you.
Oh, thank you. If you had to go to the grocery store by yourself, what would you buy at the grocery store?
I'll probably buy fruit for you.
Oh, are you thinking of me again? What would you get for you?
I wanted to get fruit.
What kind?
Like, I want to get pretzels.
Is
Yeah.
pretzels a fruit?
I want to get oranges.
Okay.
And pretzels is good for another snack.
Yeah.
Okay, one more
Well,
question.
what else would you get? I just need a couple more things that you would get at the grocery
Maybe two
store.
more
What's some
things.
favorite
I'll
things?
get a pomelo,
Yeah,
Oh, you do like
that.
pomelos. Yeah. And one more?
a grapefruit.
Grapefruit. You like
That's
grapefruit.
nice.
He's thinking about fruits this
Yeah.
morning. Okay. And then back to our original question.
Okay.
What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song?
Yeah.
Probably Yankee Doodle on the piano.
Oh, because you learned that on piano, didn't you?
Good.
Good job.
answer.
Well, thank you for answering those questions, Bryce.
You're welcome.
Do you want to say bye to our listeners?
Bye.
All right, thanks.
All right.
And,
go to your room.
we'll be out
close
in a
the
minute,
door,
okay?
And you should be safe. Okay?
We'll be out in a minute.
Hurry.
It's safe. I don't see any bugs.
Go. There, go.
Just check the fly, Mommy.
Catch the fly, Mommy.
Our show's falling apart.
It's all good. We're almost there.
Okay.
All right. So, what about us?
Oh, yeah.
Here's
what
our
about
time.
us?
Yes, it's about us now. So I just want to say a special thanks to Cody for taking time and really giving us the workshop, to work with us.
And let's tell the name of the workshop again.
So, well, he had several workshops that he could do. The name of his company, I know I wrote all this down, and I got very disorganized when a
I've
cute
seen
little
that.
boy just came in.
Yeah.
Curated Family Therapeutics.
Okay.
So again, it's him and his partner, but we really just dealt with Cody. And so the workshop, he had several options, but he said this is a good one that he likes to start with because it just gets everybody kind of thinking. And it was a values assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave us a list. I mean, there must be more than 100 values that
And
are
we
on
had to
there.
pick.
And he wanted us to choose 5 to 10 values off of that.
I think we both picked like 20.
We kept going. We have a lot of values. And then out of those, it was like, now I need you to narrow it down to 3
Yeah.
that we're like
3 of the top ones.
aligning on. Yeah.
And he says he usually does that separately between husband and wife because a lot of times they don't align.
That's true.
But we felt like we were pretty aligned. So we.
Well, yeah, you took your list, I took my list,
Yep.
and then we chose 3 that were on both of our lists. So that made sense.
Yeah.
You know, and like for us, faith was an easy one to choose, but he said that one would be a little, it's not that it couldn't be done, but it was a little more different for what he was trying to do with this particular workshop. So we focused on, what was the word we did? His was kindness. I'm trying to think what ours was.
I don't think we did faith, did we?
No.
No, because we had that down.
We did. Man.
Do you have the list?
You think I should? I got the list of all of the ones
in your
there.
hand right there?
Yeah.
And aren't some
Oh
highlighted?
yeah, he would have put that there. Boy, I'm just like,
I'll help you.
threw
Sandy.
me off. Thank you. Positivity. That's what it was. That was the one we agreed on because we just want to have more positivity in our homes. And we are positive people, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of outside factors that can influence your mood, my mood, your mood, you know. And I really want us to try to align on thinking more positive and not getting hung up on the negative things because, you know, it's like the broad road and the narrow road referenced in the Bible. I believe the broad road is the negativity, and I believe the narrow road is the positivity. And that's because our news media is full of the negativity, and it's hard to find a story that has positivity. And I don't know if that's just because people clamor to that or what it is, but, you know, I want us to just see that positivity. So, you know, he did a great job. Like he let us kind of talk these things out, and then he was typing the notes, and then he provided us the notes afterward.
He's a very good note taker. Like he's a very good listener.
Yes.
And
An encourager.
Yes. And things that you don't think he heard. He
did.
You
And he
know,
was very assuring, like, you know, that's good. And there's no wrong answers here. And what you're saying is good. And you're doing a great job. And he was kind of like coaching us through it because it's a lot of information that can be like overwhelming almost.
I feel like he started with our values, and then we kind of broke that down into little micro values, and then like an action plan.
Yeah, that's it. Because it was first like, let's define it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well, what actions do we currently take on a daily basis?
And I think if you take and break it down into small chunks, you feel like you can make more progress, you know,
It's
because you're just taking baby steps.
That's it. And that's what he does a great job of, just kind of, first of all, to get us to sit together and be still for an hour and really focus on ourselves.
That was good.
When have we done that?
Yeah.
In a really long time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we used to do this kind of stuff way back in the day, especially when we had a business. We would go away and we would brainstorm. And
That was fun.
it was. And we were a very aligned member. That was awesome.
Yeah. Now
But-
we brainstorm about autism.
Yeah.
But
You
hardly
know,
us,
and
right?
we get left out.
What I found is when you get caught up in the busyness of life and autism, for me personally, I've lost my creativity. Like, I'm a musician. You know, I was in a band up until Bryce was born.
Different bands. Yeah.
Different bands. And I would write music, write songs, music. We had some on Apple iTunes for a while. So, and it would just flow. I would get together with the band, and it would just come out of me. It was like a gift from God, right? But when you get caught up into life and you're so busy, you lose that. And I haven't written a song in 9 or 10 years, you know, and I don't feel like I've stopped because I've been on this conquer autism journey. I don't feel like I've stopped enough to regain that personally. But,
Yeah. And I think it's great that you're talking about that, because I think my goal after doing this one workshop with him is that I want to keep this list of values. I want us to agree on the one, right? And kind of put that in place, and like we looked at, well, what are we currently doing? What would we like to be doing? And then you set timelines on it, and then you set action steps to make sure that you do it. And then what they do,
And he checks in.
I was going to say their
right?
services is,
so
yes.
I think that's a very important thing for them to check in. It's accountability, right?
Exactly.
So, if you're not doing it, somebody's going to be checking in on you to make sure that you're moving forward, right?
Yes.
Because if you don't have that, then where does the paper go? It goes in a drawer somewhere, and you don't.
Even like this. I mean, I've had it on my desk, and then what's happening, and I try to create I keep a little index card on my desk of the things that I want to get accomplished during the week. And I personally like to send notes of encouragement and to infuse positivity into others. And I can do it through my phone, and I can do it with a text, and I will do that. But I do think there's just something about receiving something unexpected in your mailbox these days that's not junk mail, but is actually somebody sending you a card with encouraging words. And so I still have not made it to the store. And that's just because I haven't been in that area where I like to get my cards. I have not even been in that area to pick them up. In that area of town, that's correct. So it's still on my list. It's on my list to do. I haven't done it yet. But I think if I don't even have it in writing, when is it going to happen? So maybe today we actually have to go that way. We can stop by and I can pick them up.
Okay, so...
We're taking too long.
Are we taking too long?
Too long.
We're almost done, buddy. Okay. It's really important that we share.
Tell Alexa to set a timer for 10 minutes, okay?
Yep.
But I want you to see me do tricks in
I will.
the Douglas DC.
It's a Douglas
I want you
DC?
to please record me.
I will.
We will.
I'm going to land, so...
Okay.
Okay, go set it. Hey, close our door.
Bryce?
Why?
Please, because we need the noise quieter. Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay.
Got it.
He was something.
See what I mean? Like hard to have us time.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
Wee.
But that's okay. So anyway, so the action steps are there. I love the accountability part of it. Here's potential hurdles, which, you have to identify those things. And what's our number one potential hurdle? My busy schedule prohibits me from always reaching out or being able, to do those kind of things. So, or you get overwhelmed. But anyway, I like it that he we set some goals.
And I like the prioritizing.
I do too.
That's really what it's about. Don't get caught up in the busyness. Make sure you have your priorities.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he was like, one goal here, when I look in the mirror, I want my first 3 thoughts to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
Start your day with positive thoughts. And then, you want to be around people who are positive and give you positive feedback. And we're great about doing that for Bryce. We got to be great about doing that for each other and even for ourselves. And with Bryce, he has a lot of that negative thinking. And so we're more and more having to have him do that for himself. But I want to keep this about us. We really need to do that for us. And, that's why the date nights are good, because we get out, going and doing things for ourselves. And then I do like the feedback and that they check in with us. And, the next one, and he gave us with some steps to help with life balance, because it kind of all goes hand in hand. But he has other workshops as well. He has them even specifically for autism. He has studied in this field and is extremely knowledgeable and has worked with a lot of families and, helping with parenting autism, helping people who have autism and are on the autism spectrum, and Asperger's and different. I mean, there's a wide variety. So I'm going to put the links to their website on our notes here, on the show notes. And you can Google and find them as well. They're based out of California, but he does everything by Zoom. So it's okay. But I really did take a lot out of this, and I don't want to rush through this because Bryce wants us to go record him. It was really, really valuable to me. It's up my alley. I used to get a lot of self-help books to help myself work through, like after my divorce, and I was just feeling, not great about myself and feeling a little lost. And yes, I had the Bible, but I also what can I do for me? That was good. I think you and I met doing the purpose-driven life because we were trying to figure life out and we wanted to align ourselves. And I just really feel like I wrote a chapter in the book about what about us, because us, in quotes, has gotten lost on this journey, more than once. And it can easily happen, and we can even reconnect, and then life gets busy again, and then we're back to where we were. Yeah. And that's what happens. And I feel like this was just really great timing, because we are trying to really align on what we want our future to be, and what we're doing, and what we're not going to just do for Bryce, but what we're going to do with each other, and how we can be on the same page. And so I just feel like this was really great. I don't know anything about pricing. We didn't discuss any of that. I think that's for anybody who's interested that looks into this. They can have those discussions. And it's all what you value. We all spend money on things. It's what you choose to spend your money on, and what you invest. Yep. What do you get back in return? And I think for us, investing in each other and making sure that we have quality time together, that we have a plan. We like that. We like setting goals and working together. And it shouldn't just be on a business. It's always like, oh, well, what business can we do together? How about life? Let's work on life. Let's set a business plan for life for both of us, and make sure we have the same goals, because everything else will fall into place. And I just feel like that's what I want to do. And it excites me that we're doing this, and that we're starting to take these baby steps, and that we both recognize the importance of doing this for ourselves. And I think we should just, have check-ins, and once a month, okay, what have we accomplished? Because a month goes by in the blink of an eye. Yeah, I can't believe it's like literally already the middle of April, and it seems like we just said it was April 1st. So, that's why having things in writing, having on the calendar to check in, and we probably should do that. We should probably put it on our calendar. Okay, let's revisit this, and in 3 months, what kind of progress did we make? And I just think that's what we need to do, babe. It's really important for us.
Yeah, I think we need a whiteboard, so that we can both see it.
I'd like to have that. Yeah. I'd like to have it in the office, in writing, in our space, because this is our space in here. And I think just putting it on the wall, seeing it every day, checking in weekly, checking in monthly, we just got to do those things. Okay. All right. I think we're going to wrap up. You wish we could see?
All right. We're coming.
Okay. We're wrapping up. All right. Well, thanks again, Cody. We appreciate it. Thanks for all of you who turned in today. We're going to go on a family vacation, and we'll check in again in a couple of weeks.
All right. See you.
All right. Bye.